Welcome to Musings on Monday, where I look at books that I've read recently and give you reviews and my thoughts on them. This week I'm joined by my dog, Swayze. She's still a puppy, but as you can see, she's gotten quite large. The reason I brought Swayze in with me today is because the book that I read kind of reminded me of her. It's called Horrid by Katrina Leno. The book starts with a poem that I've heard before that you may have also heard. It goes, there was a little girl with a little curl right in the center of her forehead. And when she was good, she was very, very good. And when she was bad, she was horrid. Swayze has a curl, it's hard to see, but she has one white curl in the middle of her forehead. And when she is good, she's very, very good. And that's like 95% of the time. But the other 5%, when she is bad, she is horrid. The book Horrid, though, isn't about a dog. In fact, I don't think there's any dogs in it at all. The book is about a teenage girl named Jane North Robinson. She lived in California until recently when her father passed away and her mother are forced to move suddenly. They return to a small town in a really big old house that her mother grew up in, but that Jane has never been to. And Jane doesn't know very much about her mother's family or her mother's life before she moved to California and had Jane. And as it goes with a lot of these books, the house is spooky. There's lots of like hidden mysteries in there, and Jane is trying to figure out what's going on while also dealing with her recent grief. One really interesting thing about Jane is that she has pica, which is the urge to eat things that aren't edible. In Jane's case, she likes to eat pages of books. She's like, whenever she gets really angry, she has this urge to just sit and like tear out a page of book and slowly eat it. She's been doing that for years, and it's kind of just this interesting thing about her. In the back of the house that they moved into, there's a huge like arbor that has roses growing over it. And the roses are growing there even though it is late October, the middle of October when they moved there. And it's pretty creepy how intensely the roses go. And Jane immediately feels disturbed and also drawn to the roses. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil the book. It starts out kind of slow, but it really gets intriguing and picks up pace as it goes along. And I'm just saying that so if you read it, just give it a few chapters to really take off, and it really does. It's a nice gothic spooky mystery, and I really enjoyed it. Another thing that I found fun about Jane is that she loved Agatha Christie novels, and I actually loved Agatha Christie novels when I was a kid. I even had a pet pig named Agatha. So it was cool to see. The book clearly took inspiration from Agatha Christie novels, and they're kind of mentioned a lot, and they use some neat Agatha-style tricks in it. But I think it plays well as a good homage, and even if you're not familiar with Agatha Christie's works, I think you can still really enjoy it. It's a really quick, enjoyable read. I read it all on Saturday afternoon, and then later on that night when I had to take the dog out, I was really spooked out and creeped out. So I didn't think the book was that spooky, but it was a little spookier than I thought, because when I was outside, I was like, is there the ghosts out here? I don't think there are ghosts in my backyard, but maybe, you know? You never know. I thought that Jane made a really compelling heroine. She was an interesting character. She felt real to me, but she was also flawed and angry, and it was kind of fascinating to see her perspective shift as the story goes along. I really liked the ending. I thought it was really satisfying. I liked how it all came together. It kind of reminded me of the TV show Lock and Key on Netflix. I mean, it's way different than that, but it has kind of the initial same sort of premise setting up, but then the stories really diverge once they get going. However, if you like Lock and Key, I think that you'll like this. You got a lot to say. Oh. Okay. Guess I've been going on too long. Well, thank you for tuning into Words on Wednesdays. I really enjoyed this book, and I hope you check it out. I will be back next week with more reviews, and I'll be back on Wednesday with more writing tips for writing on Wednesdays. For me and Swayze, until then, happy reading. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.